in a new arrangement. We are around our Thanksgiving table, and we welcome you here today. Please turn off any electronic devices you may have so that it doesn't disturb the service. We do have a chapel in the back that has a book of joys and concerns we'd love you to fill out if you'd like to. There's a nursery downstairs for the littlest ones. The children will be staying with us today for this service. And please look at the orders of service for announcements on the white insert. Lots of ways to be involved in this beautiful community. And we know that we are all welcome here.
Good morning. My name is Christine Carroll. I was elected by you, the membership, to serve on the Board of Trustees here at South Valley. Come, whoever you are welcome here. No matter your age, your size, the color of your eyes, your hair, your skin, you are welcome here. No matter whom you love, how you speak, or whatever your abilities, you are welcome here. You are welcome here whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears. You are welcome here. If you come here with an open mind, a loving heart, and willing hands, you are welcome here.
We are stirring things up today. And since people come often late, if any of you feel the grace in your bones to move a little farther, I'm seeing all these empty places. Anyway, nobody's feeling that way, I guess. Good morning. We are in the middle of a season of harvest and Thanksgiving, and we are waiting for those turkeys and tofurkeys to be baked in the oven, and all manner of bread. That would be my house. Cinnamon rolls to all those little wonderful crescent rolls where the baking genes of my ancestors appear. And we have evidence that such genes also go through this congregation in this feast before us. In this season of Thanksgiving, when we will be exploring some of the limits of our hospitality today, as we break bread together, I invite you to a place where I feel I must tell you of great hospitality I experienced in a world that is now fraught with pain. In 1991, Lou and I took a taxi from Cairo up to northern Egypt looking for this monastery I had heard about so many times, a Coptic monastery. And on the way there, the taxi driver, Hussein, said, "Could we stop at my friend Fatima's cafe?" And we stopped in this tiny village of only maybe 10 or 12 houses. And Fatima came out to us, and she had never seen us before, but she gave us a hug and told us to sit. And she fed us and gave us so much coffee we thought we might levitate up over the mountains. And then she said, "Come into my home and rest." And in that day, we finally did get to the monastery. But what we have from that day, what we carry with us, are Fatima's open arms, a wonderful Muslim woman who believed deeply in Islam, whose mother had been on the pilgrimage. I come to you, I stand here with 7 years of my life spent in the Middle East. I tell you that what you are seeing on the news is only part of the story, that I have never experienced such hospitality as I have in that place. And I ask you to try to share in that experience that I had, because though the people of the world, all the people of the world, we want them all to be able to gather around our table, and that bids us keep our minds open. So when you read the news, try to do as I do and remember Fatima and her grace and hospitality. I invite you now to stand in body or spirit and sing a song. We can only sing at this time, so sing it out. We gather together, hymn number 349 in our gray hymnals. I read up on the history of bread, and apparently bread has been a part of the cultures of this world for 30,000 years. Can you imagine? And I want you to think, it made me think of that first time when they got that mix of pounded grain with water, and it went onto the fire, and then all of a sudden, I think people were going, something smells wonderful. And then I imagine that pretty soon they started making bread a lot. And so when the hunters and gatherers would return to the cave or the circle of places where they were living, they would find bread. And then I'm thinking that sooner or later people got the idea, as they always do, that maybe some people deserved the bread a little more than others. So there started to be an order, not everyone just going for the bread at once. But there were probably, the people who had more power maybe would get bread, and there'd be probably people kind of in the shadows who they said, exactly when I was introduced to taking bread together in a religious setting. But I think it was probably at the moment my teeth were in enough to be able to chew bread. And then that continued. How many of you come from a tradition where bread was a part of your service, your religious services? And I remember that that after a time I would sit and when there was the time for the bread, and I would also think this when I went to other denominations. I wonder, is it okay for me to have this bread? I'm not sure I feel the same way I did. Or I'm thinking, if I go up in this Catholic church or Coptic monastery and get bread, is the priest going to go, not you. So this ceremony of bread became in my mind a kind of anxiousness about worthiness. So first, I want you to take that word worthy. I can't pronounce this very well, but there's an old English word called weorskipi. Probably, isn't that what it's called? Our old languages had much more juice to them, I think. But weorskipi, if anybody know how that's pronounced? Okay, no. Okay, then I can do it, weorskipi. It actually meant worth shaping. Worth shaping. That worship becomes shaping worth. And when I think of that, I think of one of my greatest hopes for this gathering we have every week in this sanctuary. And that is that your feelings of worthiness grow. That this is a place where we are all worthy. And that we each bring a wonder and a worthiness to this place. So if you have any anxiety about that time when you will come to this table, let me tell you, we want you to come and break this bread. For us, bread communion is a time that we take in our community that embodies the worthiness of all. We are sharing in the abundance of the community. So, if that is true, how can we make sure that all the people of our community can feel worthy? Much of that work is personal work, finding your own feelings of worthiness. But there are things that we can do in community to help. I am proud of this community for raising, is it $150,000, to have an elevator put in and a family restroom that is not gender specific. We brought together lots of resources to change our building so that people who come in who cannot walk down our stairs feel that we want to welcome them, that they are worthy of that pancake breakfast that is waiting downstairs. Not today. I think we'll have plenty today. And now I want you just to look at that middle table, which is set out kind of like a Thanksgiving table might be. And when I was thinking of this image of tables, I was remembering about barriers that I have had in getting close to a table. I remember once going to a party and my name was not, there was no name card for me. If any of you had that, it's the worst experience ever. It's like there's no place for me. And then I was remembering that the tables of the cafeteria, when United States, and I was going to Rolling Wood Elementary in Oklahoma City. And that the tables in the cafeteria were that size, not done out so beautifully. But I remember my reticence about going to the table because I was very different. I had spent 5 years in a British school. I spent with a British accent. And I could do a perfect imitation of the Queen. And I knew how to navigate British schools, and I had no idea in American schools. And it was scary, that cafeteria. So I would put on here of my difficulty that I had, it was being different. I had a really different past. I had a teacher who'd always ask in geography class, has anyone ever been to? And I was always raising my hand, and I was the only person who was, and it was not a happy thing. And in fact, these fabulous experiences that I had had in my childhood worked against me. I wished that I had never been anywhere and spoke with an Oklahoma accent. I want you to think about what are barriers for you. And I actually have a plant in the audience who is going to talk about her things that are difficult. But I'm giving you time to think about, when you think about entering a table that is filled with strangers, what do you feel a little anxiety about? So Connie, what do you think about this table?
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Connie Gates, and I'm fortunate enough to have lived well into my 80s, but it creates challenges. I've been diagnosed with macular degeneration, so I have trouble reading. I am profoundly deaf because I started as a young child, and now I have a new friend that I have to haul around. And so Patty was asking me, and sometimes you do feel like you're a burden. Sometimes you feel odd. I've been mourning my husband because he's been going through a Job's period in his life. Where he's had about half a dozen major problems. But I guess I would say that being a strong-willed female, I don't like to let it get in my way. But sometimes I do feel like a bother. But I appreciate the elevator. I couldn't work in the library anymore if we didn't have it. And I appreciate the restroom. It's nice to have a bar to help you get up. And one of my problems is that if I start chugging around, people's feet, like my friend Bill, they stick their feet out, or the aisles are too narrow. And so there are all sorts of little problems you run into. But I love being at South Valley, and that's my greatest Thanksgiving joy, is that I can still come to South Valley.
Thank you. Does anyone else have a barrier, and this can be your own or a friend's barrier?
I have a friend who's a preachy vegan. That's me, sorry. And that is one of the barriers I feel when I come to a table. This is my most heartfelt ethic, and I'm always afraid that there won't be anything for me to eat. We're standing, okay. I'm Sutton, for anybody who doesn't know. And I think for me, sitting down at a table or sitting down pretty much anywhere with a
bunch of people is really stressful because I'm naturally an introvert. And I'm like, what am I going to talk about? So, yeah, that's a stress for me, and I've gotten more comfortable with it as I've gotten older, but it's still there as this anxiety of like, I'm going to have a hard time talking because I don't know what to talk about, and that's scary.
So, Sutton, what could we do to help make that?
Everybody always helps me all the time here because they love on me and make me feel welcome. So even when I'm all being like, I'm over here crocheting, leave me alone.
Thank you, Sutton. And what could we do to help you, Liz?
Maybe make sure that there's something we do.
Okay. And we had a wonderful example of that at our pancake breakfast, where we had lots of options.
Hi, I'm Rosie, and I'm an extrovert, so I have sort of a different problem because I go to a lot of functions where I will sit at a table by myself and wait for who comes and see who joins me. And it's usually people I don't know, which I think is great. My biggest barrier, which being an interior designer, I know that there's an easy solution to this, is if I'm sitting at a rectangular table and I wind up in the middle, generally speaking, there's a conversation going on this end and that end, and I'm like, so if I get there first, I sit at one of the ends so that I'm not like going totally crazy. And so the easy solution to that is round tables, but we don't need those. That's okay.
Thank you. Thank you. And you will have a chance to write anything from your friends or from your own life on the little cards under your seat, which we will be doing very soon in the service. But as I was preparing for this, I met Rosie King. Rosie King gave an incredible TED Talk. She's a 16-year-old woman with autism. And you know what she said, which I loved so much? People are so afraid of variety that they try to fit everything into a tiny little box with a specific label. Why is everyone so worried about being normal? So Rosie tells us not only that she brings something very different, but that difference is her special gift. So I propose that we expand our welcome by looking with different eyes at the differences that people bring. Just as I was a child bringing all of these experiences to this little school, all of us, we each bring a uniqueness. And I want you to know that it is true that not everyone wants to be young and thin and beautiful and handsome and straight and white. And I want to tell you that sometimes being young and beautiful can be the biggest barrier. And that happened to me sitting on a tour bus next to the most beautiful man I had ever met, who was the lead ballet star for a German ballet. It took me a few minutes to reach out to him, and then we became friends. And I realized that if he had not been so beautiful, it would not have taken me 5 minutes. So we each, I think our differences are really unique to us. We need to keep drawing the circle wider in all directions. I believe that this is how we will find abundance. I believe that this is the abundance that is not seen, that we see on these tables. Our differences bid us explore the frontiers of our culture, and they stretch others to open their hearts and minds. So if any of you are worried about what you hold that abundance that is here in this place. This is now the time for us to find our centers, and I invite you to find that, before you get settled, to find that little piece of paper under your chair. And as part, some of them are round, some of them are under one of the legs. There should also be something to write on, a pencil. Does anybody need one? So throughout this meditation, I invite you to think of something that you or a friend of yours or a family member brings that is difficult. Put that on one side and then turn it over and put what we could do to cross that barrier on the other side. This week was a week of mourning and many things. So I will ring the bell once again and invite you into meditation. This week we mourn the loss of many transgender friends and family at the Day of Remembrance. And at that very moment, our president was signing something he was putting into action, an immigration reform that will mean that many who are currently, that were living in fear, can relax and feel at home. This will make a big difference. Both of these things existed at the same moment. And an earthquake hit a town in Japan, Hakuba. We used to visit that town. It was a place of community and joy, and many houses in that town have now collapsed. Let us remember the people of Ferguson who are gearing up for the verdict. Shopkeepers are boarding their businesses. We are planning a vigil of peace on the night of the decision here. We're also planning a big party associated with the year anniversary of marriage equality window. Since each of us carry with us the people we love who are experiencing joy and sorrow, I invite you to say their names after
Today we will split the offering with Neighborhood House, who provides accessible elder and child care. Please note further information in your order of service for this community partner. Will you now all join me in saying the words printed in your order of service? We are this church. We are its hands, its heart, its voice. Together we share the wealth of this community and sustain it with our gifts. and snuggling in warm blankets and sweaters.
Christy Montrose Burns related that Isabel said fall break from school.
Also, Christy Montrose, wearing warm clothes and making comfy foods.
Val and Elise shared the crisp smell in the air and the color of light.
Mom said, putting fleece sheets on the bed and snuggling with the dogs. Oh, and the beautiful colors, of course.
This is from Maggie Burns. I love spending time with my family. I love hot cups of tea. And, Thanksgiving dinner, of course.
Lily Anderson. I really love the smell of colorful decaying leaves and how cold the sky looks when it's covered in clouds.
Those of you who feel left out, find us on Facebook.
like to start by telling you my sun bread story. Down here on this table is a loaf of bread shaped like a sun. I'm going to try to pick it up and hopefully not spill it. You see it, Anna? So here's the story of the sun bread. Once upon a time, there was an assistant to a minister of religious education. Her name was Liz. Happens to be me. And in 2003, this minister happened to go on sabbatical, and it fell to Liz to conduct the annual bread communion ceremony. And we at that church, we did this on Thanksgiving morning. And it was a favorite tradition of mine because I felt like I got to come together with my church family before I had to go deal with my birth family. So it was really an important thing for me. I was really excited to get to conduct this service. Well, the centerpiece of the altar every year that I had been was a beautiful loaf of sun bread. And I don't know, I suppose I thought it just appeared magically. I didn't know anything about it. Well, as the day approached, I realized I didn't know what was going on with the sun bread. So I called that minister. I bugged her on her sabbatical. It's true. I called her and I said, "The sun bread, where do you get the sun bread?" And she said, "Oh, my best friend Regula makes it for me." So I called up Regula and I said, "Regula, are you planning to make the sun bread for Thanksgiving?" And you know what she said to me? No, I only do that because Sylvia is my best friend. I went, oh no, what am I going to do? Well, I called my best friend. I called up Joni Packard. And I said, "Joni, what am I going to do? My favorite part of the service is ripping apart this sun bread and eating it." And she said, "Oh, no problem. I'll do that for you. Because I'm your best friend." So when I look at the table and when I look at the sun bread, this represents to me the incredible power of friendship, what we are willing to do for other people. It's interesting that as Unitarians, we choose the word communion because of the way it's used in most churches. In a traditional church, when you have a communion, usually there will be a person who holds the priesthood, or at least some sort of authority, who blesses the bread before it gets passed. Well, instead, our communion is about all of us bringing this bread and giving it as a blessing, and blessing it ourselves. We are the ones with the power. So what I would like you to do is join me in blessing this bread by holding the hand of someone near you. If we can reach all the way around, that's fabulous. And if we can't, that's okay. I don't expect anyone to have stretchy arms. May we hold this bread, hold the people who make this bread, hold the sun that helped the wheat grow, or the rice flour and the gluten-free bread. May we hold all of these things and the friendship that we hold. And hold in our hearts the idea that we always have enough bread. As Mary pointed out to me today, there's no need to ever worry that there won't be enough bread, no matter how many new people come on Bread Communion Sunday, because we have enough. We always have enough to share. Amen. I would now invite you, now this is the part I call beautiful chaos. You have your challenge on a card maybe, or maybe it's a picture, maybe it's nothing, that's all right too. I invite you to come up, set your paper on one of the place settings, grab a napkin, take a piece of bread, maybe two, and go and sit back at your seat. but don't eat the bread yet. That's the hard part. So I think that the easiest way to do this would be by section. So we'll start here while we enjoy the music. As you eat your bread, I would like you to look at the table. There's still more. You could have all taken at least 2 more pieces. And that is just like our community. There will always be more love, more togetherness. Thank you. May this bread nourish your hearts. May you find comfort in loneliness. And may we begin that work that is now ahead of us. I will be collating all of these and posting them about what we need to do to have more welcome. There is always welcome and hospitality to do, and it is the work of Unitarian Universalism, and it is hard work and joyful work. Thank you all for being here, and we gather this moment of crunching and trying not to show what is in our mouths to our neighbors, and joy. Go in peace and happiness, and there is dancing left for us to have. And we are blessed, as always, with many visitors. If you would like to introduce yourselves, please stand and a microphone will be brought to you.
I'm Margaret Trites, and I have just moved from Seattle back to Salt Lake City, so I have met Mary Lou and Patty and had to come meet all of you.
Hi, my name is Kaylee, and I came from Tennessee.
first time here at the church. I've been attending the transitional group that Bill does. It's been wonderful. He does a great service, and it's always a fun discussion. I just left a church after growing up in it. They serve white Wonder Bread for their sacrament. This is so much better. So I'm looking forward to meeting you and continuing to attend Bill's group here with us and his family, a good friend. Thank you very much.
Recently in the hospital, and one of the chaplains there suggested that I attend this church because it sounded like the things that I was saying would fit in here. So